first tip is partnerships. So I fought this. It was a personal battle. I wanted to go alone. I wanted to, every basically piece of property I thought I wanted to own alone, or at least with my wife. And for some reason, I don't know why I struggled to partner on it. But it is my encouragement to you to think differently than I did. I have found, and I've seen it over and over and over with people that I talk to, that you go further faster. So if you are in a pursuit of something, think about if there's someone else in that similar pursuit that might have complementary skill sets. And it's a very important to like the person, of course, but maybe more important than likability is your skills. If someone has something that they can do better than you, you got to let that ego go. You have to let that out the window. I always considered myself pretty good at math. And then I found my partner, Shane Brooks, and I found out there's lots of people. Well, I found this out in college too, but lots of people better at that skill. So I had to throw the ego out the window and say, look, this person's way better at underwriting, sees things I don't. I think we complement each other very, very well. And the same goes for partners, John and Ben. I mean, they have these skills that I don't have. And so we all come together collectively as a group, and we're going to go so much further, so much faster. And the other thing is, I would personally rather go somewhere with someone than be alone. And it's interesting that I battled this so hard, because it's true in my personal life. Like I would rather be at a bad situation with someone than a great situation alone. And it is true for business as well. I mean, it's so much more fun to celebrate the wins, find our way through the struggle, solve problems together, than it is to be alone. So that's the first tip, is think about a partnership if it's at all possible in whatever you're doing. And in my experience, it's worth every bit of time to find that. The second one is gratitude. So this is another thing that I have found to be hugely powerful in my life. However it is that you do it, for me, I wake up in the morning and I write a couple things down that I'm grateful for. And sometimes they're repeat, right? I write my wife every day, but sometimes they're new. Sometimes it's fresh. Sometimes it's like, I'm totally grateful for this day. I'm grateful for my health. I'm grateful for this cup of coffee, right? So, but what it does is it shapes your mind that yes, there's always going to be problems. There will always be things that need fixed. There's always something like trash needs to be taken out, whatever it is that's the obstacle, right? There's always those. But sometimes it's important to stop and say, what am I incredibly grateful for? And even though maybe I have a challenge facing me, chances are you have some things in your life that you can be exceptionally grateful for. Every one of us has some very big blessings. And so to take the time to stop and say, I'm going to change my mindset a little bit this morning into a positive look at all of the blessings I've been given and be grateful for them. It's a pretty powerful tool. So I do it in the morning. I do it most days. Again, I'm not perfect, but try to be consistent in the sense of wrapping my head around gratitudes. And I do have a ton to be grateful for. It's actually, the list is really bottomless. So yeah, anyway, think about the gratitudes in your life. And if you focus on them and focus on those things, I think, pushes you in a better location. The next one's routine. And this one I struggle with as well too, because I have this sort of tendency to want to be, I guess, like off the cuff or maybe like unplanned, and it turns out that you can still have a lot of fun if it's planned. And so this is something I've worked on a lot, and this is help from my friend and coach, but you can actually have a schedule for those things. And an example of this would be date nights, right? So I always wanted to be spontaneous, but when you're trying to be spontaneous, a lot of times what happens is you can't. So it's like, oh, I forgot we have soccer practice tonight, or, oh, this weekend we have plans or whatever. But it turns out if you block your schedule, they say so right now, this is the truth about me and my wife. We have blocked every other Wednesday for a date night and locked the babysitter in and all that stuff, right? And it's kind of like, at first it's like, it's lame to have it so scheduled. But just because it's scheduled on the calendar doesn't mean it can't be spontaneous, right? You can come up with something fresh and new and something different. And so I would encourage you to think about routine And that was just one example. Another one would be a morning routine, right? So if there's something that, you know, you want to work into your life, whether it be exercise or reading or whatever, that's a good time to do it would be the morning. So I have started doing yoga every morning, very short, not exactly strenuous yoga. It's not what I consider my workout, but I do feel better. I feel stretched. And it's also like a time to sort of put my mind at ease a little bit. And I'm not suggesting everyone does that. I'm just giving an example that that's something I wanted to work into my life. And so I just squeezed it into my morning routine. But I do find the routine to be extremely valuable. So those are two examples for routine. Hopefully that helps you in that regard. And the final tip I'll share about mindset is I think the word add value or the words add value gets tossed around a lot is like, how can I add value to you? But if you kind of dig a little deeper into what that means, I think a better way to say it is like helping others. And so, on podcasts, you'll hear people talk about, well, how can I add value? Or if I can add value, then I can be part of the deal. And that's a little bit self serving in the sense that you're saying, I can help someone to get something in return. And that is true. But if you dig deeper, I think if you say, how can I help others, whether you want something in return for it or not, it's still a very good pursuit, in my opinion. So, spend your time thinking of how can I help someone else get a little further. And what's super interesting is more often than not, you're going to get something back for it. And it may not even be what in a way that you wanted or knew was going to happen. So again, I've heard this over and over and over is like the work that you put in towards helping someone else or adding value will pay itself back to you. And sometimes tenfold. I've seen that in my world as well. If I take the time to help someone, it's incredible how even if I wasn't expecting to get paid back. And sometimes it's not monetarily. That's, sometimes it's emotional, it's love, it's friendship, it's, just things that are so much more valuable than money. And so if you kind of frame your mind around how can I help others rather than how can I get ahead, I think you might get ahead faster.